sometimes, like you find people, say you leave your house late night and you want to take a shortcut through the alleyway, and some guys, they just want to mess around and say, what have you got? Or they put a knife to your throat or something similar to that. They want to rob you. They want to mess around with you and mistreat you. We have the equivalent from the jinn. They just like playing around with people and mistreating them, like the example that we gave where you're in a deserted place and they just throw a rock at you for no reason. You haven't done nothing wrong to them, you haven't even harmed them, but they just want to mistreat you. So this is another reason, my dear brothers and sisters, that sometimes there is no reason. Sometimes there is no reason whatsoever. And there are a number of symptoms for a person who's possessed. We'll just mention a few of them. From them is a person has very strong reactions and they turn away from the remembrance of Allah. And when the remembrance of Allah is played or recited in their presence, they have very strong reactions. The remembrance of Allah being a recitation of the Quran or the adhan or something similar to that. And they may even have seizures or faint or fall unconscious when it's recited in their presence. Or sometimes they may have bad dreams of maybe deserted lands, of predators, or certain things where they have lots of nightmares. Lots of nightmares. And from the symptoms is they love isolation. They love to be far away from the people. They don't like to mix whatsoever. And from them is if you recite on them, it could be that the jinn may speak using their tongue, using their mouth. The jinn may actually speak through them. And in terms of the ilaj, in terms of the solution, the Shaykh is going to comment on a lot of it today, inshallah ta'ala. So I don't want to overlap anything. But in brief, my dear brothers and sisters, one thing that I can guarantee you, that if you are a brother or a sister who is able to recite the Quran on a decent level, it's possible with Allah's permission for you to do ruqya on yourself. If a person wants to have a look, for example, even if they're unsure and they want to see some reactions, then we can give a basic clip on YouTube, in fact, for a person to actually check it out for themselves. If a person was to type on YouTube, if they were to type ruqya, and then type luhaydan, luhaydan, Luhaidan, if they were to type that, and ruqya, Ruqya or Yah, if they were to type that and perhaps listen to that, which is only about 45 minutes, and the recitation is quite effective, mashallah, tabarakallah. If a person wants to check it out, see if you have any issues. And then there's plenty of verses which a person can recite. It's about 20 of them, and you can find some of them online, or even there's a number of books which are available on this topic, that if a person was to recite them, specifically if they were to recite them regularly, then you'll find, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, after some time, they'll have an effect. But all I'm saying is if a person was to look at most of the brothers and sisters who have these problems, their connection with Allah is either extremely weak or it doesn't exist. That's the truth of the matter. Either it's very weak or it doesn't exist. For example, their prayers, the Fajr is not performed on time. It's relaxed in terms of Fajr prayer. Or the morning and evening prophetic adhkar, remembrance that the Prophet ﷺ would make, a person doesn't recite any of them. The one after Fajr and one after Asr. And there's only a few things which don't take more than 5 to 7 minutes to recite. Before they go to sleep, the same applies. Before they enter the bathroom, that they at least recite. I'm telling you, most of the ad'iyah, most of the adhkar, they're not things that you don't know. The things that every normal Muslim, person who's just become Muslim, say a few months ago, probably knows. You don't have to be a person who's a scholar in order to do ruqya on yourself, or a person who's been reciting for many, many years. But this is where the problem comes in, my dear brothers and sisters. This is where the problem. We have many, mashallah, tabarakallah, people who do ruqya, who are sincere, and who know what they're doing. But we have many others who have used this as a very powerful money-making trade. So as soon as you come to them and they diagnose you, they already know your problem. It's like you go to a doctor and he wants to make money out of you. You tell him, what's your problems? He diagnoses you and he knows what your problem is straight away. He can prescribe you with a basic drug for you to go to the pharmacy and get it, and that's it. But what does he do? He says, how about, I think you need a scan. That will cost you a few hundred. Like you go into a private clinic, you need to go get a scan. He already knows the problem. It's a small little £5 job. Go, you need to get a scan. Okay, خلاص. Now you need to go get an x-ray as well. Oh, no, maybe you need to get an x-ray in the second place. Try this medicine. Oh, and then they'll tell you as well, you keep going to them until a person's money runs out. So a lot of the time, especially if a person doesn't have too much or their financial status is not the best, that either their money runs out or they've just given up. And they'll say to him, oh, you know what? Some person just came to me and she's been coming or he's been coming for the past 3 years. Meaning, don't worry about it. There's many others like you. Keep coming every week or every 2 weeks or however long and keep giving money and nothing's really happening. And that's it. Whereas if a person was to fix their own life up and their connection with their creator and use basic prophetic remedies, in a very short space of time, you'd see a massive improvement. And more importantly, that inshallah ta'ala in the next life as well, they'll be from the 70,000. And something even greater than that, my dear sisters, specifically if a person's far away from Allah, is that they use this, the fact that they're possessed, this is actually a form that they've become closer to Allah. For example, we find some people who recite Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Baqarah, as you know, is like an ocean. It's like an ocean. It's like about 2.5 chapters of the Quran. The whole Quran, 30 chapters, is 2.5 chapters. Imagine a person who recites Surah Al-Baqarah daily. You know, each chapter of the Quran, you get 100,000 good deeds added to your scale of good deeds. 100,000. Yeah? Each chapter. 30 chapters. Yeah? So there's a lot of reward. Imagine you're reciting Surah Al-Baqarah daily. Or even every 2 or 3 days. It's like if it was daily, every 4 days, it's like 1 million good deeds near enough. I added to your scale of good deeds. Something that you've played around when you was young and you messed around, etc. Alhamdulillah, it worked out for you. So think of it in a good way. Like Allah tells us, perhaps something that you dislike when it's actually good for you. Dislike happens to you, something that you dislike happens to you, but it's actually good for you. Because eventually, you become closer to your creator. Become closer to your creator. This is the topic of the jinn, my dear brothers and sisters. And we'll finish it off with the next 2 topics. We're not going to comment too much in respect to the rest. But we'll move on to sihr, which is magic. And the Shaykh is going to comment on this quite a bit. So there's no need for me to go into it too deep. But what we can mention, my dear sisters, is we can mention the types of magic. Yeah, meaning the goals behind them. And what actually happens, the repercussions. When a person tries or a person is afflicted with different types of magic. So from them is when you're trying to separate between a husband and wife. And this is the most common one which is mentioned in the Quran. فَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ. Like Allah tells us in the Quran. So which is what? Separation between a husband and wife. Or it could also be a business partner and his friend and his business partner. 2 business partners to split between them. Or 2 brothers or 2 sisters. Or something similar to that. A parent and the daughter, or parent and the son, or something similar. So this is one of them, separation. Another one is for love. So a sister gets married and she finds that her husband is more interested in his phone than he is in her. Or his laptop than he is in her. Or he just keeps going chilling with all his friends. So she's like, you know what, we're not having this. Yeah, we're not going to have this. So we have to do something. We have to change our approach. So what does she do? She goes to one of these guys and she says, yeah, have this, spike this in his water, put it in his water. And don't worry, it'll be yours. He's going to fall madly in love with you. He's going to become loony. That's what he's going to do. So that's exactly what happens. The guy becomes bonkers. He loses it. Yeah, he loses it completely. About his, and this is no good, my dear sisters. This is no good. They'll ask for some sort of clothing of his or something similar to that. And you're not helping normally what happens is that you're aiming to do one thing, but the opposite actually happens. It actually really becomes ill and sick and stuff like that normally happens. Another one in terms of magic is for a person to become insane. They actually become insane. Another one is they'll start to have lots of bad dreams and hear lots of voices. They have lots of bad dreams and hear lots of voices. They have no idea what's actually happening. And then some of them, you find from the repercussions, is that the sister who has her normal cycle, say for example, she has a time of a month, which is 6 days, or 7 days, or a bit less, or a bit more, and now she has irregular bleeding. She just keeps bleeding, or keeps having blood which exits from her. This is again from the repercussions from this, from this. And from them is stopping a person getting married. Like a person, every time everything seems good, and all of a sudden something goes wrong, either with the male or the female, either they just keep changing their mind, or something happens that everything works out, and then when they're about to go forward, something keeps, it's like an obstacle which keeps stopping them. And another one is not allowing relations, meaning a husband wants to consummate the marriage, for example, and he's unable to do so. If he's a newlywed, he wants to consummate the marriage. That we've come across people. We've come across brothers and sisters who they want to consummate the marriage and they struggle. They struggle for a long time. Some people, they struggle and then perhaps they'll recite Baqarah on their wife, for example, or something similar to that for a week or 2 weeks daily or something similar. And alhamdulillah, they're able to consummate. And others, they're unable for a very long time. Like we've come across some people, some brothers who are unable for a very long time. Or sometimes it's not for consummating the marriage, but it's when you're already married and everything seems to be going well and normal, and then all of a sudden, now when the husband wants to have relations with his wife, she just starts bleeding all of a sudden. Or it's as if there's like a barrier, there's like some sort of, like a blockage, not allowing him to enter. Or she's unable to loosen her legs, it just becomes tight and it's not in her control. Or she just becomes numb. Or something similar to that. Or for example, you find like a husband, like there was this one case where a husband was working abroad or was working far away. So when he would come on holiday, she's already had a time of a month. All of a sudden she starts bleeding. So she thinks she's on time of a month, and as you know, they're not allowed to have relations like that during her time of a month. But that wasn't the case whatsoever, because as soon as he goes, he's only there for the weekend, as soon as he goes, back to normal again. The bleeding stops. The bleeding stops. Or for example, every time she starts reciting the Quran, all of a sudden you find that she starts to bleed for no reason. There's no cause, or she starts performing the salah, and the same applies. Or another type, and we'll finish it off with this type, is a person will be prevented from having children. Either this will happen from the male side or the female side. They'll be prevented from having children. There'll be some sort of prevention. Whether it's either inside the male or the female. And in terms of black magic, it could be that a person has stomach pains for a long time. Ever since these problems, a sister or a brother has been having stomach pains. So we'd advise them to have a detox, to have something like senna or something similar to that, for them to clean up their body. So whatever they've had, either they throw it up or they release it in the bathroom. And they do this a few times, and inshallah ta'ala, if they did consume anything, it'll go. Because if they've consumed something, they need to throw it up or they need to release it. Another thing that's very powerful, along with recitation, and specifically Surah Al-Baqarah and the verses of Ruqya, or the general verses, like there's about 20 places in the Quran, which again doesn't take longer than about 15 minutes to recite, is to do hijama. To do cupping. And you find a number of the people, specifically those who are quite deep in the field of Ruqya, like the places on the head especially, they found the people who are afflicted with black magic. Like there was a teacher of ours in Medina who's been doing this for about 30 years in Medina, the Prophet ﷺ city. And in fact, I saw it in front of me. This is more than one occasion, in fact, where you find people came from England and went to see the sheikh, because he's saying they had some problems. So I said, no problem, let's go see him. This guy, mashallah, he knows what he's doing and he doesn't charge any money or anything similar to that. The most he does is just gives, like in terms of herbal remedies, and it's ones which are from the sunnah anyway, like asal, like honey, black seed oil, that sort of stuff. The point is anyway, is that he says that a person, they get hijama done here, and here, behind the ears, on the right and the left. And you find, he was mentioning that he said that it's possible for a person for more than 9 cups to come from each place. And I've seen this with my own eyes, like firsthand, next to a person, where the raqi would call the cupper, the one who does cupping, and he literally took out about 8-9 cups from each place. And normally, when we look at this, it's about 2 or 3 cups. Maybe even a person who, mashallah, has been, very unhealthy for the past few years, it was similar, still about 3 or 4 cups. But as for these individuals, you find a large amount of cups coming out of them. This is a very powerful remedy of the permission of Allah, the Almighty. So to try these following things, my dear brothers and sisters. The final one is al-ayn, the evil eye. And the evil eye, my dear brothers and sisters, there's two things. There's hasad, which is envy and jealousy. You've been given a promotion. You have a nice car. You just got married. Or someone's just proposed to you, for example, and you've accepted and it's a good proposal. Something happens, others may put the little smile and act like it all sounds like they're for it, but in reality, not everyone's for it. Not everyone's happy for you. Some people, they're not happy for you. Some people, like Yaqub alayhi salam, he told his son Yusuf, when Yusuf had that amazing dream, in the beginning of Surah Yusuf, what did he say? He said, don't inform your brothers. Don't inform your brothers. And this is why there's also a narration which is not authentic, is not authentic in terms of its chain, although some of the scholars authenticate, but its meaning is correct, which is استعينوا في قضاء حوائجكم بالكتمان فإن كل ذي نعمة محسود. That seek aid, help yourself out, support yourself. How? By keeping all of your affairs. You know, you got your goals in life that you want to accomplish. Keep them to yourself. Keep them to yourself. You don't have to tell the whole world. You're memorizing the Quran, خلاص, keep it to yourself. Your child's memorizing the Quran, you don't have to tell the whole world about it. And even if they ask you, you don't have to lie, but you don't have to tell the truth as well. In the sense that you can just speak general. Speak general. Say, as you memorize the Quran, yeah, it's trying. خلاص, that's the answer. It's trying. Alhamdulillah, it's trying. Everyone's trying. Yeah? So just answer in a very generic way. So you're not lying, but at the same time, you don't have to tell everyone about what's going on in your life. Oh, mashallah. And that's why you find, my dear brothers and sisters, the Prophet heard this narration. He's saying that help yourself by allowing yourself to accomplish your goals by what? By keeping them discreet. Keep them to yourself. Keep them to yourself. You're doing something good, keep it to yourself. The only people you need to tell is the person who needs to help you. Everyone else, you don't need to tell them. Otherwise, are you really doing it for Allah? Or are you doing it for the people? Ask yourself this question too. Why? He says, فَإِنَّ كُلَّ ذِي نِعْمَةٍ مَحْسُودٍ. For every person who has a bounty is what? Is normally envied. And this applies even in social media nowadays. We take a short little tangent. Even in social media nowadays, you find everyone, mashallah, I attended this talk today. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And they tell the whole world about, Ya ikhwan. We don't find people, my dear brothers and sisters, when they commit a sin, they don't say, you know, I just looked at something haram today. And they type it on Facebook or tweet that. Do we find that? Oh, ya ikhwan, I need to make loads of tawbah. We've done some serious sins today. No one says this sort of stuff. So as the people of the past used to say, hide your good deeds like you hide your bad deeds. Otherwise, if you've propagated, if you've publicized all of your good deeds, what have you left for your Creator? What have you left for your Creator? You've got nothing to look forward to in the next life. You've got nothing to look forward to in the next life. So in terms of envy, my dear brothers and sisters, envy, this is the first type. And then there's ayn, al-ayn, which is truth, yeah, and reality. Like the Prophet ﷺ says, al-aynu haqqun. When he talked about al-ayn, that it is true and it is a reality. And what is it? With envy, it's that envious sort of nature and that jealousy towards someone. As for al-ayn, it's out of amazement. When someone's amazed with someone else, or even with yourself, as we'll mention quickly in terms of the different types of evil eye, and they don't invoke Allah's blessings upon it. I mean, they don't say, for example, Barakallahu lak. May Allah bless you in this, for example. Or they say, Allahumma barik, or something similar to that. If they don't invoke Allah's blessings upon it, that's when a person can be afflicted with the evil eye. And you find that, for example, when evil eye, it could be out of complete innocence. Like there's a narration in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, and a number of scholars authenticate it, where one of the companions who was very handsome, a very tender skin, another guy saw him washing, washing. So he said that, look at this guy, he was amazed with his skin. He goes, this is more fresh and tender than a virgin girl's skin. And what happened immediately, as soon as he said that, the guy collapsed. So the Prophet ﷺ said, do you accuse someone? Did someone say something? He said, no, we're not really sure, except this guy. And he made this statement that he said it's more tender, etc. than a virgin girl. So what happened after that? So then the Prophet ﷺ says that He says that, why do one of you not want to harm your fellow brother? Couldn't you have invoked Allah's blessings upon it? Couldn't you invoke? And that's all a person invokes Allah's blessings. If you find something amazing, if you find someone handsome or beautiful, or something seems to be going good for them, even your own wife or your own husband or your own son or daughter, a person needs to invoke Allah's blessings upon everyone. Anyone who you find anything amazing, even your own car or your own ring or your jewelry, if it's a sister or whatever it is, anything that you have, if you find it amazing, you need to invoke Allah's blessings. May Allah bless it. Yeah? Barakallahu fi, or whatever it is, inshallah, in terms of what it is. It could even be a blind person. That you're described to a blind person and he's blown away. You see a big smile on his face and all of it. That's it. He doesn't even need to say anything. You don't need to. It's just that wow feeling and the amazement feeling that you have. Enough without invoking Allah's blessings for that person to get affected. And it's also possible for you to affect yourself. Like you find some people, like even the Khalifa before Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, by the name of Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik, when he was very young, he put on the finest robes, he put on his crown, he said, I am the young king. You're looking in the mirror, he said, I am the young king. And then a number of the people of knowledge and historians who comment on this story, he said, so he affected himself with the evil eye. And he passed away very shortly after that. You affect yourself. You might even affect your own jewelry, or your own car, or your own family, your own child with the evil eye. Why? Because you didn't invoke Allah's blessings upon it. And it's also possible for the jinn, and you can't even see the jinn, to affect you with the evil eye. Like a number of the historians, Ibn Kathir rahimahullah and a number of others, they mention in terms of the companion who is the leader of the people of Medina during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, by the name of Sa'ad ibn Ubadah, like Al-Aini and others, they mentioned that. It said that the jinn afflicted him with the evil eye and then eventually he passed away. So when you have something that's amazing, you don't need to tell the whole world about it, my dear brothers and sisters. Thank Allah and keep things discreet as much as possible. I know you find that some of the brothers and sisters say we need to encourage others to do it. Fair enough. You have to talk about yourself to encourage others though. Can't you say there was a brother who tried to do something, there was a sister? You have to talk about yourself all the time. Or your fellow family members. You can always speak in a generic way and get the message across. The same message hits home. And from the symptoms of this, you find a person's face color, the fair skin might even change into a yellowish type of color. They might start to urinate a lot, or feel apathy, or a lot of palpitations, or even like strange type of reactions due to abnormal fears. And one of the most common ones is a person has health problems with no medical cause, meaning the doctors have no idea with what problem you have. They have no idea. You've gone there, they have no idea. They're puzzled. They've tried. You have seizures, you have this or you that. And they checked yourself out, and you've had this scan and that scan and this and that, and they still can't. They have no idea what it is. Then most of the time, this person has been affected by the ayn. So to conclude, my dear brothers and sisters, first of all, it's better to take preventions. So for example, if you have something amazing, try to keep it to yourself. Things are running smoothly, try to keep it to yourself. Whatever it is, try to keep it to yourself. Secondly, the Prophet ﷺ used to also invoke and recite the dhikr and the dua upon Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein, his two grandchildren. He used to recite upon them, he says, أُعِيذُكُمَا بِكَلِمَاتِ اللَّهِ التَّامَّةِ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْطَانٍ وَهَامَّةٍ وَمِنْ كُلِّ عَيْنٍ لَامَّةٍ. So a person recites this dua. If it's just one child, they say, أُعِيذُكَ. And that's a boy. If it's a girl, they'll say, أُعِيذُكِ. And you find this online as well. You find it in a book called Fortress of a Muslim, or you can find it elsewhere. But this dua, and the Prophet ﷺ said, Ibrahim alayhi salam used to recite the same dua on his two sons, Ismail and Ishaq. So this is it's good to take preventions beforehand. Even if you're going to a religious gathering where people are all religious and they're pious, like we said, evil eye may be from an innocent soul at times. Meaning the person doesn't want evil for the person. Like yourself, when you affect yourself with an evil eye, you don't want evil for yourself, of course. You don't want evil for yourself. And to also recite Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas after each prayer, which is a sunnah. The hadith of Uqba ibn Amir, collected by the compilers of a sunan, they at least recite Surah Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Nas, Ayatul Kursi, Allahu la ilaha, Surah Al-Falaq, Qul a'udhu bi-falaq, Qul a'udhu bin-nas, Ayatul Kursi, Allahu la ilaha illa hu. At least these small things like this, my dear sisters, which are also from the sunnah and there's no dispute in respect to them. A person recites them regularly. And if they're afflicted with it as well, with any problem, if you're afflicted, then to recite on yourself. Like Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas, these are from the most powerful ones. You find Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he says that the people are more in need of Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas than they are in need of food and drink. Look at this. And everyone knows these surahs. Everyone knows these surahs. In fact, after the Prophet ﷺ was afflicted with black magic, then they would find him reciting this regularly. Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas. And also from them is to, if you find another person who has this, then the sunnah in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ would say, Bismillahi arqiq, min kulli shay'in yu'dhik. And then he'll continue with the rest of the dua as well. And there's like du'as like this, my dear sisters, which you find in Fortress of Muslim and elsewhere, where a person recites them, and they're prophetic du'as, and inshallah they'll be very effective. And the final thing is, if you're pretty sure, if you're sure who affected you with the evil eye, this guy made a statement, this guy says, you know what, I was really amazed by this, for example, this particular action you done, or by how you're looking today, you're dressed up for a wedding, or this or that, then get that guy to wash for you, and then, meaning in the bowl, and you pour that bowl onto yourself. Yeah, onto yourself. And that's exactly what happened in the Musnad of Ahmad. And what happened is the person, he woke up completely energized. Yeah, he woke up completely energized. We'll finish it off there, my dear brothers and sisters. We ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to accept everything that was said and everything that was heard, and to make it an argument for us and not against us, and to add it to our scale of good deeds. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakum Allahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.